What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. In this video, I'm going to reveal my top Week 13 DFS NFL picks. Stay tuned. Last week was not a good week in DFS for me. Carson Palmer ruined a lot of my cash lineups, but I look forward to having a bounce back week for Week 13. Now, obviously, I love investing money every week in DFS. I have some skin in the game. It makes the game more fun. That's why people like daily leagues. It just makes watching football or whatever sport you're doing, it makes it so much more fun when you're watching it on TV or watching it with your buddies. What I like to do usually when I'm setting my lineup for the first time, so it's a new week, I've never set a lineup yet, I'm just starting off, I like to play in a league for $0. So I like to play in a practice league, and that's how I set my first lineup and make my adjustments. So to first start off, you can play for $0 just to set your lineup up as practice, or you can play for as low as $1 as well. As you know, on the show, we like to start off with the kickers and defenses. That way it gives us a better idea of our average remaining salary. So after we pick our kicker defense, then we go back up top to the quarterback and work our way back down. We don't like to spend a lot of money on this show on kickers. Of course, I like Gostkowski. I really like Gano. I like Mike Nugent's okay at $4,900. I really like Brandon McManus. That's a great value pick at kicker, but obviously that's too expensive. I'm not going to have kickers that expensive in most of my lineups. I like to go cheaper. So what I'm usually going to do, I'm going to go with Dustin Hopkins as my number one kicker at his minimum price, $4,500. Maybe sprinkle in Chris Boswell and maybe even sometimes Ryan Suckup. If I have an extra $100 left over and I really can't spend it anywhere else, I'll probably go with Robbie Gould. The Bears are heavy favorites at home playing against the Niners this week. My top two projected defenses this week, so the defenses I believe will score the highest points, are the Cardinals and Bengals. If you have a lot of money left over, I highly suggest you spend it on these defenses. Now, it's not always good to spend up on a defense. We know that's not a great strategy in cash games, but I really like these two guys. The Bengals playing against the Browns, the Cardinals playing against the Rams. These are going to be really good defenses. As far as picking a defense goes, that's just a sure thing. We all know there's no sure thing when it comes to inconsistent defenses, but that's as close as you're going to get to a sure thing right there. The Vikings are okay. That's an okay pick. I like Washington because I don't think a lot of people will pick them. And Tony Romo is out over there. They're playing Dallas. Another sleeper defense is the Bears. Now, ones I really like is the Titans at $4,400. I'm going to be picking them a lot in my lineups. Great value. They're pretty cheap. So let's work our way back up to the quarterbacks. Tom Brady is great, but only in GPP. I think his high price point is going to scare a lot of people away, so he's going to be good in tournaments. For cash games, my number one go-to guy is Cam Newton. That's the main guy. You can even put him in GPP, but he's going to be so popular. So I like Cam Newton going against the Saints. There's no secret here. They have the worst defense. Cam Newton's a great quarterback. He's been top 3 quarterback this season. Ben Roethlisberger's okay in the cash games, but I consider him more of a GPP pick. Carson Palmer, this is a great tournament play right here for sure. You got Robert Quinn doubtful, and when he hasn't been playing, the Rams haven't been as good, and the Rams have been terrible as of late. I really like Ryan Fitzpatrick as another cash game quarterback at price at $7,500. He has decent value. Now, a quarterback who's got a really high ceiling and a really low floor, even higher risk than probably Matt Ryan, is Sam Bradford. I really like this guy in tournament plays. At price at $6,400, that's super cheap. Now, just to make sure, just to clarify, this guy can totally fail, but he can do good. They're going to be behind in this game against the Patriots. It's likely going to be a high scoring game. It's slated to be the highest scoring game this week, matter of fact. Definitely a boom or bust guy, and I would not play him in a cash game, only in GPPs. For running backs, I like LaShawn McCoy in tournaments. I like Doug Martin in cash games. My two favorite running backs this week in cash games is going to be Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams, both priced at $7,200. LeGarrette Blount is an interesting pick. Some cheaper guys are Giovanni Bernard at $6,200. Sean Drone, now that's going to be a cheap pick. He's going to bring a lot of value there, but you got to go with David Johnson in some of your lineups, priced at only $5,900. Rams defense hasn't been that great, especially against the run. Starting running back who he's been pretty good as a third string running back this year. He's explosive, he's great, he's gonna get a ton of touches this week. So he's a great pick at only $5,900. Another guy I really like, now we know that the Eagles are going to likely be behind this game, and Ryan Matthews, I believe, is out. You got to double check that. Darren Sproles, a price at $4,900 as well. That's more of a tournament pick, and a lot of people will not pick Darren Sproles. For wide receivers, I do like Odell Beckham Jr., but he is the most expensive wide out. It's going to be hard to afford him at $9,400. I like Julio Jones, but only in a Matt Ryan stack. Now, the number one wide receiver I'm picking, one of my base players, meaning I'm going to have him in a lot of my lineups, is Antonio Brown. This is a great pick. Big Ben is starting, priced at $9,000. That seems expensive, but for Antonio Brown, that's actually kind of cheap. He probably should be at least $9,200, $9,300. So you're going to be saving money by picking a guy like Antonio Brown. Has a pretty high ceiling and a really good floor. We all know he's that guy who gets you 5 receptions, 50 yards minimum every game. Another great value pick is Alshon Jeffrey at $7,700. I really like this guy. He seemed a little bit banged up going into the game last week, which was the Thanksgiving game, and he performed well. So going against the Niners, I like this guy's ceiling and floor. Like, we've seen him do good when he doesn't put up touchdowns. They go to him a lot. They throw the ball to him a lot. So $7,700, that's going to be really hard to beat at that price. Another cash game guy who's really safe, really consistent, probably the most consistent wide receiver we've seen this year is Eric Decker. Keep tabs on Danny Amendola's injury. He's only priced at $6,700. I also really like Brandon LaFell, priced at only $6,600 this week. Jeremy Maclin's another guy who's cheap at $6,500. A couple GPP picks is Steve Johnson going at $6,200, going against the Broncos. Nobody's going to pick him because he's going against a tough defense, but he should see a decent amount of targets. Jordan Matthews, a good tournament pick, but you probably only want to do this if you're stacking him with Sam Bradford, if you're bold enough to do such a crazy stack like that. Kamar Aiken, priced at $6,100. It's really cheap. He has a great floor because he's the number one wide receiver over there for the Ravens. You have Matt Schaub, awesome quarterback, sarcasm, throwing the ball to him, but he's going to see targets, and Dolphins defense is not that good. Another guy I really like, if you want to save a lot of money, is Kendall Wright, priced at $5,200. I think he's going to see a good amount of targets. Now this guy, he is risky. That's the thing. He is a very risky pick at wide receiver, but at that price point at $5,200 in a cash game, you likely can't afford to have him have a mediocre game. If he puts up, let's say, 7 points, I don't think it's going to kill you because you only spent $5,200 on a wideout like that. For tight ends, there's no surprise here. Greg Olsen is the number one tight end this week, hands down. That's what everyone thinks. I also like Travis Kelce. He's okay at $6,200. I really like Delaney Walker at $6,000. It's just that you probably would rather just spend another $600 and get Olsen if you can't afford it. But Delaney Walker is really good at that price. Julius Thomas, $5,800. I really like Scott Chandler at $5,300 with Gronk out. This shouldn't be a huge surprise either. I think a lot of people are going to like Chandler. A lot of people in season-long leagues are picking up Chandler, of course, with all the tight end injuries. Kyle Rudolph, I like him at $5,100. Now, this will be more of a GPP pick because not a lot of people will own him. You got him at $5,100, so people will more likely want to spend another $200 and get Chandler, for example. Or my next guy, they could spend 200 less and get Vance McDonald, who I really like. So I got Kyle Rudolph being more of a tournament pick. Vance McDonald, great value tight end. I'm definitely having him in a lot of my lineups. And those are my picks for week 13. If you guys want to play some of these picks, have some fun with daily leagues, make sure you follow the link below in the description. It'll take you to FanDuel. Once you're there, make sure you use promo code Fantasy Couch. So go to the link below, use promo code Fantasy Couch. Let's have some fun. Let's get some W's this week in daily leagues. So I'll be doing a free webinar giving away a lot of my secret strategies and going through my procedure on how I pick lineups and also answering your questions. But I'll only do this if I get enough comments below. So leave a comment below and say, hey, I want to do a free webinar. I want to sign up for it. So if I get enough comments, I will host a free webinar where I'll be doing all those things to really help you guys out when it comes to daily fantasy football. If you guys want a free lineup this week and you're an iPhone user, you can do so by downloading the Sway app. So download the Sway app from the Apple Store, add Fantasy Couch on there, and ask us a Sway question. It's a poll format, so you would ask a question like, hey, who's a better running back, Doug Martin or Chris Ivory? And just ask us one question on there, and in return, we'll give you a free lineup. So please do that. Download the Sway app. It's an awesome app, and it's the preferred way to get fantasy football advice from us. I get so many questions that Sway just makes it so much easier for me, and it's easier for you as well when you ask a question. And that's all the time we have for this video. If you guys want some more picks, my complete notes, where I pick all my DFS players from these notes, you can go here. Also, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that thumbs up like button, like the video. Thank you guys so much for all the support, and I'll see you guys on the next one.